Imagine a woman like Vivian. She is 44 years old, standing at a church potluck table in Detroit in 1957. Printed cotton dress, cinched waist, plate in her hand, full of food. She is not refusing anything. She is not counting anything. She is not performing restraint for anyone watching. She just looks contained, at ease in her body in a way that feels almost impossible to explain in 2025. She had no calorie app, no macro split, no gym membership, no diet coach, no clean eating label, no program with a name. 7 rules, not tips. Rules she inherited, followed without drama, and never once sold back. One of them has nothing to do with food, and it explains the whole photograph. Number 7, she ate at the table, every time. Not occasionally, not when things slowed down. Every meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, at a table, in a chair, with a plate set in front of her. Even Tuesday lunch, even a quick meal before the evening started, the place was made. The chair was pulled out, the meal happened at the table, and nowhere else. This was not a wellness practice. Nobody had named it yet. It was just the structure of the house. The table was where the family was. You sat because that was how eating worked. Standing over the sink with a fork was not how a woman like Vivian ate. The car was not a dining room. The couch did not count. It looked like manners. It was something else entirely. When you eat seated, slowed, present, without a screen dividing your attention or a steering wheel in front of you, your body has time to register the meal before it is over. The signal that says enough takes minutes to arrive. Distracted eating, rushed eating, eating while doing something else entirely, it disrupts that signal. The food disappears faster than the body can track. What we now call mindful eating, what now fills workbooks, retreats, and coaching programs, is built on this exact foundation. The 1950s kitchen table did it with a chair and a placemat. She was not practicing mindfulness. She was practicing respect for the meal. But number 6 is about what she did before she even sat down, and that single habit is now sold as an entire supplement category. Number 6. She drank water before she ate. Not after. Before. The glass was already on the table when she sat down. She did not reach for it because she was thirsty. It was simply first. A glass of water before the meal. Not a strategy, not a protocol. Standard preparation. The same way you would not start a drive without settling into the seat. Her mother had told her, "Settle yourself before you eat." That was the whole instruction. No explanation about appetite or digestion. Just the rule, passed down plainly. The way practical things were passed, not explained, just given. The strange part was not what she drank. It was when. Water before a meal creates an early signal. The body begins to register volume before the food arrives. The process of eating starts more calmly, more slowly, with something already there to pace it. Today, that same idea appears in appetite management supplements, electrolyte pre-meal drinks, hydration protocols, and coaching modules. You can spend $30 on a hydration bundle built around this concept. You can download a plan that walks you through it step by step, or you can fill a glass from the tap before you sit down. The glass costs nothing. The timing was the whole secret. Number 5 is about what she cooked in, and it matters more than what she cooked. Number 5. She cooked in fat that had not been invented into something else yet. The butter dish sat on the counter. Not hidden in a drawer. Not rationed with guilt. It was just there, a knife going in. A small amount going onto whatever needed it. Lard was in the kitchen too, used the way it had always been used, without apology and without ceremony. She was not eating recklessly. She was cooking the way women had always cooked before anyone told them the fat itself was the crisis. The low-fat era had not arrived yet. It came later hard, and loud, and full of replacements. Margarine arrived as the smarter choice. Products were reformulated. Fat was removed, and other things were put in its place to compensate for what the food lost when the fat left. What we later learned about some of those substitutes, particularly certain processed fats that appeared in margarines and shortenings across several decades, was not a small footnote. The research became difficult to ignore. The fat was never the problem. The problem arrived when they tried to replace it. Natural fat in small, deliberate amounts supports the kind of satiety that keeps a meal satisfying. The body knows what it is receiving. Today, healthy fats are a premium wellness category. Ancestral eating is a brand. Fat-positive nutrition is a course. What these movements are recovering is the simple idea that the 1950s kitchen counter never let go of. She did not improve on the butter. She just never let anyone talk her out of it. Number 4 was not about what she ate. It was about how much, and the method she used has now returned as a central strategy in nutrition coaching. Number 4. She served from the kitchen. She never brought the pot to the table. The food was plated before it arrived at the table. The pot stayed in the kitchen. The pan stayed at the stove. What came to the table was the meal. What stayed behind was everything else. This was household management, and it was also presentation. A crowded table, a pot sitting in the center with a serving spoon still in it, food cooling in view while people sat. That was not how she ran a meal. It looked cluttered. She did not serve clutter. It looked like presentation. It was portion control decades before anyone called it that. When excess food sits within reach during a meal, people eat more of it, regardless of whether they are hungry. Not because they are weak, because it is there, and it is easy, and the hand reaches without much thought. Removing the pot from the table, putting it back in the kitchen, making the second serving require a deliberate trip. That small distance changes the equation. Behavioral research on food proximity and consumption has confirmed this pattern in study after study, in language that would have made Vivian smile. Nobody called it a strategy. The pot just stayed in the kitchen. But number 3 is the one that will change how you look at every summer photograph you have ever seen of these women. Number 3, she walked everywhere, and she dressed for it. The walk to the market was not a workout. The walk home from the salon was not cardio. The Sunday afternoon promenade was not a fitness goal. It was just life lived on foot, through walkable neighborhoods, in church shoes, in a dress that was meant to be seen. She dressed for public because she was going to be in public, which meant she moved differently. Her posture was upright. Her pace was deliberate. She was not shuffling through a commute in athleisure, shoulders forward, looking at a phone. She was walking, upright, in clothes that required her to carry herself a certain way. She was not exercising. She was living. The difference matters. What she was doing has a name now. Non-exercise activity thermogenesis, NEAT, describes the energy the body uses through daily movement that is not structured exercise. Walking to a destination, standing in a kitchen, moving through an ordinary day. Researchers studying long-term metabolic health have found that this accumulated daily movement is among the most consistent factors in how the body manages itself over time. It is not dramatic. It is not a program. It adds up quietly, the way most honest things do. The walking pad is now a $100 product. The 10,000 steps goal is now a wearable subscription. Zone 2 cardio is now a coaching category. The sidewalk has always been free. The gym membership came later. The sidewalk was already there. Number 2 is about something she did not eat, and the refusal tells you everything. Number 2, she did not eat between meals. Not because she was dieting, because it was not time. 3 meals. That was the structure of the day. Breakfast, then the morning. Lunch, then the afternoon. Dinner, then the evening. Between those meals, the kitchen was quiet. Not locked, not forbidden. Just not open in the way we now treat food as something that should be available, in a package, in a pocket, at every moment of every hour. If she was hungry between meals, she waited. Or she had a small piece of something real fruit, a bit of bread, something that required no manufacturing and no branding. What she did not do was graze through a parade of packaged items that had been designed, specifically and deliberately, to make stopping difficult. The discipline looked like scarcity. It was not scarcity. It was schedule. The processed snack food industry grew significantly through the latter half of the 20th century. The shelves filled. The portions became personal. The packaging became convenient. What was once an occasional thing became an expected layer of every day. Vivian's early habits were shaped before that transformation was complete. The gap between her meals was not a wellness protocol. It was just how time worked in a household with structure. That gap is now a product. Intermittent fasting is a multi-billion-dollar industry. There are apps, coaching programs, 16-week courses, fasting windows, feeding windows, and supplements designed to support the hours when you are not supposed to eat. The foundational principle, let time pass between eating, let the body cycle through what it received before asking for more, is real. The mechanism behind it involves hormones and metabolic rhythms that researchers continue to study. She did not have the vocabulary. She had the schedule. They packaged the gap between meals and sold it back as a wellness protocol. She just called it Tuesday. And number one is not about what she ate, or when she ate, or how far she walked. It is the only rule that explains why every other one worked. Number one, she did not believe her body was the problem. This is not a food rule. It is not a movement rule. It is not a habit that shows up on a shelf or in a kitchen or on a summer sidewalk. It is the belief underneath all the other rules, the thing that made it possible to simply maintain, consistently, without drama, across decades. Her body was not a crisis. It was not a project. It was not a before photograph waiting to become an after. It was a body that required care, the same way a household required care. You kept order. You maintained what was already valuable. You did not begin every day by cataloging what was wrong. Her mother had not raised her to fix herself. She had been raised to keep herself together. The instruction was care, not correction. And care is a completely different starting point. Every rule before this one only worked because of this one. Think about what the modern diet industry requires in order to function. It requires the belief that the body is currently failing, that the number is wrong, that the shape is wrong, that the natural appetite is wrong, the natural hunger is wrong, the natural size is wrong. Without that belief, the product does not sell. The program does not enroll. The doubt is the door the industry walks through, and once it is open, the options for what to sell through it are almost unlimited. Women like Vivian were difficult customers, not because they did not care for their bodies. They clearly did. But they did not agree that their bodies were the problem. They did not sign the contract with doubt that the industry needed them to sign. They sat at the table, drank the water, used the butter, left the pot in the kitchen, walked to church in good shoes, let the kitchen go quiet between meals, and moved through their days without the underlying belief that they were broken and falling behind. The table, the water, the fat, the kitchen boundary, the sidewalk, the schedule, none of those rules required her to hate herself first. They just required her to show up consistently and care for what was already there. That is not a motivational statement. That is a structural difference. Maintenance and correction are not the same practice. One begins from value. The other begins from deficit. And where you begin changes everything about where you end up. She did not buy the product. She did not buy the premise. And that is the rule no company has ever been able to honestly sell you, because the moment you actually have it, you do not need what they are selling. Now look at Vivian again. Standing at that potluck table in Detroit in 1957, printed cotton dress, plate still in her hand, not refusing anything, not performing anything, just at ease in a body she was not afraid of. She was not trying to stay slim. She was trying to stay whole. And the side effect of staying whole, of eating at a table, drinking water first, cooking without guilt, leaving the pot in the kitchen, walking through her life with her shoulders back, letting the hours between meals be quiet, and refusing to agree that she was a problem, was that the photograph does not lie. Her granddaughter is somewhere right now. Maybe she just downloaded a fasting app. Maybe she ordered a hydration bundle. Maybe she bought a walking pad or booked a mindful eating course. And maybe, somewhere in the back of a cabinet, or in a box of things that came from her grandmother's house, there is a glass, a plain water glass, the kind that used to sit on a set table before every meal, and she does not even know what it means yet. She is not discovering these rules. She is almost remembering them. Pick one, just one. Put it back into this week. Not as a diet, not as a program, not as a protocol with a name, as an inheritance. Something that was already yours, that got renamed and repackaged before you had a chance to claim it. Try it for a week the way Vivian tried it quietly, without drama, without waiting to see if it was trending. Then come back and tell me what changed.